Quebec City. Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Quebec City. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Kenji Egashira. We're ready for round number 7, Shahar versus Sam Black. Kenji, they're both on the same list. Bant tokens, this is the deck that Sam Black designed late in the design process coming into the Pro Tour, but it was the deck that did the best at the Pro Tour out of all of the decks. It had a fairly astonishing win rate of 75% at the Pro Tour. And Shahar, it convinced him. He didn't play it at the PT, as far as I know, but he did pick it up to play now. Again, Sam's the one that actually designed the deck here, so you get to see it in the hands of its master.
Yeah, actually, looking at their deck lists, Sam has quite a number of differences than Shahar. So Shahar looks like he took the stock list, whereas Sam has some additional changes.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. This could be interesting.
That's interesting because Sam made this deck leading up to the PT again, kind of late, and didn't have quite as much time as he would have preferred to tune it and get it just perfect. He knew he hit something strong with the list, but that isn't quite the same thing as having it all fleshed out and perfect. And what that means is that he's probably pretty happy to have a week to kind of tune and play around with it and shore up any weaknesses that he may have found at the Pro Tour. And he could be one step ahead of Shahar here.
I would certainly not consider that out of the question. He's got some nice ones. A Knight of the White Orchid alone in a lone one in Sam Black's deck. He actually took out one of the Secure the Waste, which I feel like is one of the better cards in the deck. But
that's interesting.
We'll see what his game plan is here. Game's progressing normally. I know I was talking to some other players, and they're like, "Yeah, I just needed a nice 2-drop in the deck for the Elvish Visionary to just make sure you hit your land drops," and that's what he did here.
Meanwhile, Silk Wrap is going to take care of Nissa. And Elvish Visionary is feeling feisty. He's going to go ahead and rumble for a damage there. Drop Shahar down to 19.
Oh, I see some powerful cards in Sam Black's hand. He has most of the pieces that he's looking for. He has that Retreat to Emeria, that Secure the Wastes, Planner Outburst it looks like. Whereas Shahar does have a Wingmate Rock, I see. Some of the goodies, yeah.
And it's another good use for Elvish Visionary.
Mm-hmm.
It's a card that you don't mind it if it dies, so you can go ahead and send it into the red zone to get your raid going. And Sam says, "Wahaha, you fell for my trap." Knight of the White Orchid. You said he's just got one of those, Kenji?
Just one in the deck, yeah.
I've talked to Sam multiple times since I've been doing coverage for the past 3 or 4 years, and I know that one of the concepts that he taught me about deck building that I wasn't really aware of until having a chat with Sam actually on a drive. We were on a fairly long drive together from Vancouver back down to Seattle, where he was catching a flight and I was heading home.
Gotcha.
And what he told me is, and I found this fascinating, is that there are some times when you do put a one-of in a deck, and the reasoning is a little weird, right? Sometimes it's not what it seems. Sometimes these are what we call a silver bullet card, right? It's a card that you can search up or that you just need access to in your deck somewhere if your deck's planning on playing a really long game with a lot of card draw or card selection, dig through time, that kind of thing. But there's another type of one-of that pops up as well, and this might fit the case this Knight of the White Orchid, which is one where the first one you draw is amazing and they steeply fall off after that. And Sam's willing to put a one-of in his deck in that scenario to maximize on the fact that if he ever draws it, it's great, but not take the hit on, well, if I draw 2 of them, all of a sudden it's a liability. And that could be the case with the Knight of the White Orchid here, where he doesn't necessarily want to try to set up this plan over and over again, but the games like this where he just sort of stole the playback from Shahar while developing his board, it can really matter in that way. The card he used as an example back then was a Birds of Paradise.
Okay.
There was a combo deck that he had played in Old Extended, and he noted that when he started things off with the Birds of Paradise, things were awesome. Here's Shahar looking like he's going to line up a Gideon, by the way. He does have the 5th mana, but he's still just going to play a Gideon.
Dispel, I guess.
Indeed. But yeah, but the second Birds of Paradise was really terrible. So anyway, interesting stuff.
Yeah, no, the nice thing about the Knight, like you were mentioning, it's probably great as the first, one of, and every consecutive one gets worse and worse. In this deck especially, if you have a retreat to Emeria out, this is going to let you play 2 lands in 1 turn effectively. So you might be able to get double triggers. Whereas, if you're just playing a fetch and popping one off, you're still going to get those 2 triggers. But this is effectively kind of another fetch in that scenario. So you can blow your opponent out of nowhere if they're not expecting it.
Silk Wrap.
Targeting a token.
Kill the token. How about Silk Wrap targeting Elvish Visionary and then an attack targeting your Gideon? By the way, this Elvish Visionary has been on the rumble path here. It's hit for, I think, all 4 damage against Shahar.
Shahar opted not to block the Elvish Visionary with his Elvish Visionary on the previous turn, I think.
For Wingmate Rock
exactly,
purposes?
Yeah.
Is that what you were saying? That's what I was thinking, too.
Well, this does not look good for Shahar. But I think, they both run Planner Outburst, so that's certainly a way that he can come back into this game. As far as enchantment removal is concerned, so Shahar has 2 Erase in the sideboard, whereas Sam does not have any. Oh, sorry, they both have 2. Okay. Actually, you know what I find interesting?
Ooh. Do you find Planar Outburst interesting?
I was talking about that. It's pretty good in this scenario, but neither have Dromoka's Command in their sideboard or main deck, I don't believe. Let me double check that, but yeah, that seems like one of the better cards in the format, especially if you're playing green-white. There's so much synergy and so many enchantments running around. Sam's played 3 Silk Wraps this game. Well, they have similar board states, and they're flicking their cards similarly.
It is a mirror match. And here's Hangerback Walker for 2. Both players seem adamant about leaving up that 1 blue mana, although neither actually has a Dispel in hand.
Both decks are running 2 in the main, I do believe. Yeah.
That's what the blue splash is for, right?
Exactly. That's the only blue card in the main.
Now we get a chance to see why Silk Wrap has risen to prominence as one of the better removal spells in Standard. What it just did to Hangerback Walker, of course, the interaction being that even if Silk Wrap were to go away, the Hangerback Walker just comes back, immediately dies, produces no tokens. Here's a retreat to Emeria now for Sam, and he's going to play a land after that and get an ally token going. Shahar Shenhar looks like he's going to crack the Blighted Woodland here.
I think that Walker's hanging by a thread, Marshall. It's not coming back.
By the way, look at all these Silk Wraps.
That's what I'm saying.
1, 2, 3, 4 on the battlefield right now.
This is maybe quite fitting for how close to Halloween we are. We got mummy themes or something like. No, I tried.
I don't think mummies are wrapped in silk.
Very high.
I might be
mummies.
wrong.
Very high class mummies.
I think if you're mummified, you're already high class for what it's worth.
Okay. Retreat to Emeria, one of the best cards I think in the matchup. Just even if you're flooding out, you're going to be able to produce those tokens. You're really looking for Secure the Wastes, but Retreat's going to do some work. Gideon, number 2 for Shahar, is definitely going to swing things in his favor.
Yeah, you mentioned that you thought one of the keys as well was kind of being ahead in the emblem race, if you will, or the anthem race, and having a retreat often puts you ahead. Even if you were a little behind, you can play land or 2 in 1 turn and get ahead in that particular fight. Now, Gideon's a little better at it, though.
Yes.
Gideon makes 2 2s, doesn't make you hit a land drop, because as an example here, Retreat to Emeria looks pretty bad here for Sam at the moment, as he's played it, and he's not going to play a land this turn. He's just going to get nothing off of it. It's not terrible or anything, but so far it's produced a grand sum of a 1/1, which is perhaps not amazing.
What is amazing is that Shahar still has that Wingmate Rock in his hand, which kind of been stranded there for a while, but it looks like he's probably going to have a good turn. Oh, actually, Sam emblemed.
He did.
Wow.
He immediately emblemed. That means that his core ally can now fight against this this knight.
Okay, well, this makes every land, a 2-2. So it's kind of like a Gideon in that sense. I think Shahar had Stasis Snare, and he might have even had to secure the waste in his hand too. Oh yeah, I think Shahar's hand is just excellent in this position. Marshall, do you think we'll see some erase come in from the sideboard?
Yes. Look at that board.
I just want to count how many enchantments there are. I believe 6 right now on the battlefield. It's very possible that Shahar doesn't want to play the Secure the Wastes until he can draw a Dispel of his own. Even though they've been both feigning it this entire time,
And it looks like Shahar's had enough. He's going to start rumbling here. He's crunching in there for 7 damage, and he's just going to fire off the Wingmate Rock here after that. So things getting kind of out of hand on Shahar's side of the board. Sam Black has a planar outburst in his hand, though. He draws a Visionary for the turn.
Yeah, Sam also on the 1 planar outburst plan. Both players are getting relatively close to that Awaken, but I guess
There
that
it
won't
is.
be the case.
Planar Outburst is going to clear out the Wingmate Rock friend and the token, but Gideon's still there, and that's the main problem that Sam now has to try to deal with. He, once again, doesn't play a land for the turn. Is this going to be Secure the Waste for 2 from Shahar? That's pretty aggressive. No, he's decided just to wait an extra turn here. Another Wingmate Rock off the top. It's good to be Shahar Shenhar.
Well, luckily for him, yeah. Gideon is an attacker.
Yeah, this is going to drop Sam down to 7 here, and Wingmate Rock is nearly lethal on its own.
Gideon Emblem. That's all it takes. And I think
Or the Secure the Waste if Sam can't come up with something.
I think we're going to see Shahar probably pop it off end of turn. I think Quarantine Field's in Sam Black's hand, which is probably going to be needed to take out both of the flyers.
Well, he looks like he's going to go for Nissa, which means that Quarantine Field can only take out one thing.
Okay.
It's going to trigger his retreat. Get a 1-1.
Oh, he's going to get some nice triggers here, so yeah. He probably feels like he's stabilizing, but
Flips that Nissa.
all right, retreat putting in the token. Let's see what Nissa does.
Well, Nissa's going to get another trigger and get another another token, excuse me. So things are moving ahead here for Sam Black, but he's in a precarious position, no doubt about it.
Hello, Quarantine Field.
And that's just going to take down the Wingmate Rock this time. But that does mean that it's unlikely for Sam to actually die next turn, as he's got the ground pretty well clogged up with a couple of tokens down there. I mean, he's got 2 separate tokens. Oh, here comes Shahar, though. He is going to make 2 Secure the Waste tokens on end step.
Now, notably, his are only 1/1s, whereas Sam's are still 2/2s because of the emblem, so
Good point. Is that a Stasis Snare off the top for Shahar?
wouldn't be bad if it was. Silk Wrap, okay.
Yeah, he's got Stasis Snare that he just drew, though. Oh, Shahar.
That does mean emblem is, in fact, lethal.
You beautiful man.
Or he could
you.
even just plus, yeah, either way.
He's in there. Done. So that's going to be game 1 here. Shahar Shenhar picks up the first game. Sam Black just has to pick up his permanents as they go to the sideboard plan. You can take a look at our back table there. You see Valentin Mackel from Austria on the left.
He's versus Ben Moore.
Moore? M-O-I-R. Moore.
The old Abzan versus Dark Jeskai here.
No, it looks like we came in just in time. Valentin Mackel firing off a dig-through time here. But in the face of what looked like a couple of awakened lands here. That's kind of cool. You see a pair of Ruinous Path in the graveyard there for Ben, so I'm going to assume that that's where these came from. And well, he's beaten down pretty good here.
Those lands are terrible. They're both 4/4s. I wonder what was killed with the Ruinous Path. Can't quite make out what's in the graveyard now
Well,
that he exiled.
there's a
but-
Jace down there for sure. You see that exiled Jace down there?
Mhm.
That could have been it. Could have been one of them.
Haven't seen too many lists running the Ruinous Path. I've talked to a lot of pros, and they said, it's one of the better cards for sure. It's just the mana base doesn't often allow for a double black card. Ooh, you know what Ben's also got in his deck? A Green Warden of Marasa.
Oh, man.
That card is nice.
I actually, I've only played that one in Limited so far. Where it's nice.
It's always nice. He's got a full package of removal here. An Utter End, 3 Silk Wraps, 3 Ruinous Path. We see one of those Obnixilis reignited sitting in the graveyard already. This is actually a pretty close match. Both players have access to card advantage. We saw Valentine play the Dig Through Time there. Ben has Abzan Charms for card draw. Aforementioned Green Warden of Marasa, Den Protectors. A very grindy matchup, I think. Assuming.
Speaking of grinding, here's Nissa.
Yeah.
By the way, this is going to flip here.
These players are still on game 1, it looks like.
You can see that the chat is enthusiastic about Knuckles' mana base. It is a blindingly beautiful collection of lands, there's no doubt about it.
If you got it, flaunt it.
Agree. We see 3 expeditions on the battlefield there for him.
I'd be getting a lot of sleeves if, my cards look that pretty.
I got some sleeves you can use if you want.
Okay. Are they good?
Yeah.
All right. Bloodstained Mire, the discard, flipping Jace.
As a backup foil Jace, so he doesn't have to take the other one out of the sleeve. I like the way this guy thinks.
Wow.
Well, you never know.
He's still facing down 2 4/4 lands and
Yeah, he's
Nissa
not out of
and
it.
What's this end of turn? Utter End. Ugh.
And that's going to clear the way. Let's see, not for a win. Well, never mind. So something's going to happen here because Mako just went from 9 to 8, which is a huge step down when you're facing down potentially a pair of 4/4.
Yeah, I saw a Crackling Doom in his hand.
All right. Crackling Doom would be pretty great here. That would mean that either Jace gets to live or, well, he does. So he's going to make him sack one of the lands, and it looks like he wanted to redirect the 2 back over to Nissa. Okay. Business.
You point it to the face, or what's going on? Oh, so he did in response to gain the 2 life from the Crackling as well.
Indeed.
Right, because it had lifelink.
That's right. He goes back up to 10. That worked out really well for him.
In fact, he drew another Crackling Doom, Marshall. Wow.
Did he really?
Yeah. Stone Rain, Doomblade, and kill your Planeswalker too.
Wow.
That's kind of nasty.
Gross.
Also, the other card in his hand is a Tassiger.
Does he have enough black mana to play both here? I can't quite tell the expedition.
Oh, I don't think he does actually. He only has he has the hollow and he has the looks like a marsh.
Smoldering Marsh
Yeah.
up there. All right. Well, welcome to Canada, Valentin Mackel. This is going to be a hell of a turn for you, sir.
Oops.
Oh man, that is
Oops.
what the. That's not nice.
I've been playing the Dark Jeskai deck a lot online, and the frequency of Crackling Doom doing that type of thing is absurdly high. And let me tell you, it feels so good.
Feel
Every
great.
time, it feels so good.
Oh. All right, did he flash back an Ojutai's command there? So I believe what I saw him do.
Yeah, Jace ticked down to 2, so it must have been it. Oh, yeah. And a Tassiger for 1 or 2.
Oh,
Why not?
my goodness. For 1. Yeah, that turn was Crackling Doom, kill your 4/4, kill your Planeswalker. -3 Jace, flashback, Ojutai's command, draw a card, get Jace back, swamp, Tassiger. Your move.
Oh, by the way, I'm only going to leave Crackling Doom, Dig Through Time, and another Ojutai's command in my graveyard.
Raise your hand if you're having fun.
Your turn, sir.
Wow. Ben really has his hands full. Now, we will note, Kenji, this is game 1.
It is.
Yeah, we're kind of on that grind here.
Sometimes a Dark Jeskai player doesn't draw all of their Mantis Riders. Oh, I like this play.
Oh, that was nice. So he languished first. That takes out Jace and also shrinks down Tasigur to an 0-1, which means that Shambling Vent is either going to force a chump block with Tasigur or get in and kill Jace, since that got activated after Languish. Nice little play there from Ben.
The problem being, of course, an active Tasigur with 8+ lands is not where you want to be. Well, at least when you're sitting on the other side of it.
Right, I was going to say, I don't mind what you're describing here.
Wild Slash, Dispel, Jace, Dig Through Time, Crackling Doom, Ojutai's Command.
Yeah, I mean, Ben got pretty... I mean, that's not bad for him at all, right? Like, those are 2 relatively low impact spells at this point in the game. He ends up with a Wild Slash, which probably doesn't do a whole lot. Knuckle is down to 9. And does he attack with Tasigur? No, he's going to send it back. All right, let's go back on to our main match. This one looks like it's going to kind of settle in for a while. We'll see if Tasigur can take over, but I want to make sure we keep up on our mirror match, Sam Black versus Shahar Shenhar. And it looks like we're coming in game, turn 3 here, where Elvish Visionary is once again angry at the world and hitting the red zone.
Putting in the business. I'm sure the Visionary has a big Kappa face on right now. What's up, Shahar? What you got, buddy? Where's your 2-drop? Ooh.
Speaking of 2-drops.
Yeah, that's a nice one, too.
You know, you talked about erase.
The problem is each have 2 erase in their sideboard, but the targets, they have like 20 to hit, you know? So they really have to pick and choose their spots. I think you have to kind of wait until a really opportune moment. I mean, Evolutionary Leap is going to be insane here for Sam, especially in conjunction with Retreat to Emeria, giving him free creatures off of lands, right? Elvish Visionary not having much value. Hangerback Walker, tokens from Gideon. Like, that is a card you probably want to deal with as soon as possible.
And that Visionary has looked so good. It's beating down. It enables Wingmate Rock. Now it can be food for an Evolutionary Leap.
Like I was mentioning before, that Sam was like, yeah, this is the 2-drop we need. You know, it fills the hole at the 2-drop slot. It finds more lands. It sacks to Evolutionary Leap. It just does everything.
Look at that. It just turned into a Nissa.
But I think, is that Sam's last land in hand after that? Oh,
yeah, well,
another Nissa.
How about he go finds another one?
I don't think this is where Shahar wants to be. Both players have some number of Secure the Waste in hand. I think I saw a Planner Outburst on Shahar's side of things.
Looks like both players have decided to shuffle simultaneously for our benefit. Thank you, gentlemen. That has been one of the things about this format that has kind of stood out, is that there is a decent amount of shuffling here with all the fetch lands.
That's why the mana is also so very nice, Marshall.
Yeah, we do get some pretty cool decks as a result. You can kind of exercise your creativity as far as how many colors you want to play goes.
I'm actually really surprised how Game 1 ended in this matchup. It was just Silk Wrap, you know, trading their enchantments for tokens even. And then eventually Shahar was able to just stick a few tokens and a Gideon. I guess Gideon does a ton of work, but, you know.
Yeah, Gideon did serious work for sure.
All right, Secure the Wastes and a turn for Shahar for 2, I believe. Oh, sorry, to block the Nissa. Gotcha. And a Wingmate Rock. Raid trigger is a go. Well, this is not good for Shahar, who does have that planner.
And this, if he has the land, this is definitely a good opening here as the shields are down as far as the Evolutionary Leap goes. Sam can't get value out of it while he's tapped out. And Wingmate Rock is certainly enough of a threat that Shahar is probably going to be forced to just outburst here.
Yeah, that's not what you want to do, but it's probably what you have to do, especially given the Evolutionary Leap. I like that play.
I do too.
I think a lot of people would try to get a little bit more value, but again, if you do, you're letting Sam untap with green sources for the leap.
Yeah.
But we can see in Sam's hand a Den Protector.
Goodness.
Is bringing back Wingmate Rock good? Or Nissa good?
Yes, and yes. There's a negate in hand for Shahar.
All right.
Kind of interesting.
I would feel like that's certainly from the sideboard, which it in fact is. Yep. Ooh, Sam has a Dragon Lord Dramoka in his sideboard.
Dude, is that an Oblivion Sower?
That is also from sideboard.
How many of those does he
Shahar.
have?
Just one.
Wow, that's sweet.
Especially in the mirror match. Oh my. I didn't actually see how many lands he hit off that, but
Looks like the one.
just the fetch.
Yeah, I mean, it costs 6.
Oh,
so,
sure.
Yeah. It's actually kind of unlucky.
You know, the thing is, Oblivion Sower, I think, was way overrated initially.
Mm-hmm.
And, because especially if you're playing against a random deck you don't even know, you're going to hit a lot of fetch lands that probably don't.
That you might not be able to use.
Yeah, they're just, I mean, they might turn on Shrine of the Forsaken Gods or something if you're truly ramping, but it just doesn't feel as good as people thought it would be.
Well, I have seen somebody get like 6 or 7 lands off the thing.
Sure.
You know, they get a little overzealous with their dig through time.
It's like Ben Moyer on our back table took game 1 over Valentin Mackel. Wasn't Mackel way up ahead on that game? Feels like it was the case. Looks like Sam's position here is pretty good. His Nissa flips. Passes the turn back to Shahar. Den Protector unable to attack into the Sower. Shahar here weighing his options. Access to plenty of mana. Sam has left up 4 mana, which could represent Stasis Snare, Dispel, Secure the Waste, any number of things. It looks like he's activating his Lumbering. Dun dun dun.
Lumbering, bumbling, getting in there. All right.
It's funny, the Lumbering Falls actually does a ton of work versus a lot of the decks, especially a deck like Reed's deck we watched him play earlier, the Esper deck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at all of his removal does not hit the hexproof land, you know, and his instant speed removal like Utter End, again, non-land, so it just kind of gets in. Ugin can't touch it. I mean, Ugin can obviously ramp up to huge numbers, but...
No, we've seen that. It's a massive problem for the control decks that are using targeted instant speed removal and, you know, sorcery speed sweepers and such, and none of it touches it.
Yeah. I'm glad these players are using different sleeves, otherwise all of the Silk Wraps and the Oblivion Sowers would become a little bit of a mess, I think. All right, Secure the Wastes on Sam Black's side. I don't know. How do you think this game's going to turn out?
Well, this is taking an interesting turn here.
Okay, so negate
Yes.
on the Secure the Wastes.
That's pretty big. Shahar is getting aggressive here. I kind of like it. Sam, it feels like the long game should favor him, right? Sam's the one with Evolutionary Leap.
I suppose
He
so.
can kind of work down to what he wants.
I mean, he still has to deal with the Sower at the very least.
He does. I mean, it's huge. It's just going to sit there and be huge.
Ah, erase from
He
Shahar
erased-
Shenhar.
All right, so that was the last. So he negated the
Secure
secure,
the waste,
and then took out the leap. Well, now this looks pretty good for Shahar. That was all before blocks as well, so that Sam couldn't do like a block and sack scenario. And in fact, he blocks the Lumbering Falls. So, all right, the dust settles. I kind of like this for us. You know, it's like boom, board completely cleared up. Now it's down to a 5/8 versus a Planeswalker.
Another Nissa is going to hit the battlefield, though. And he can flip it instantly if he would so choose. I believe there's a Quarantine Field still in Sam's hand. Let's see what he opts to do here. Looks like he's going to put a land onto the battlefield.
Not too exciting.
With a retreat to a memory, it would be. What do you got for 4, Sam?
Quarantine Field is going to take down Oblivion Sower. This has been a real fight here. Both players trading resources back and forth. We did hear earlier in the day from Frank Carson. He described this as a green-white control deck.
Okay.
And that's from Sam, by the way. Sam told him that. It's not just a tokens, go wide, make them big strategy. That is how it often wins. But if you look at what's happened here, both players have played very powerful spells across the board, not just creatures, but also enchantments and other things. And, yeah, they've just taken out everything each other's done like you would expect a control deck to do.
Shahar with the ever-powerful Elvish Visionary drawing a card. Going to play a Den Protector. In addition to that, bunch of goodies in his graveyard. How good is Den Protector getting back Erase getting Quarantine Field getting back Sower getting some lands.
I like where you're going with this.
This does a lot of things.
All right, well, here's Silk Wrap to take down the Morph. Shahar's just got the 1 card left in his hand.
All right, Den Protector on the flip. Let's see what he gets back. Looks like Erase was the target, and indeed it was.
Is that going to get him back his Sower here at some
I
point?
would almost certainly think so. As somebody correctly pointed out in chat, Sower only is on cast, sort of like Ulamog. So
it's still a 5/8.
it could still, yeah, absolutely. It just shows, though, the power of the Erase. Shahar wanting to get back his Sower here, end of turn.
Which is exactly what he does.
It
He's got
does.
Plenty of mana to work with here also.
Yeah, it threatens to kill Nissa in one shot, so.
Shahar's going to play a Morph and then Rumble. Sower gets in, and once again, Elvish Visionary contributes to the cause.
Sam can't do nothing but let the Nissa die.
And once again, the attrition fight has the dust has settled on the player who just went, which in this case was Shahar. And what does Sam have to do to come back here? He's got another Silk Wrap.
Oh gosh, I think he's so. Okay, I see. Still, you don't exactly want to be doing this.
Not super effective.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that he doesn't. He has to, but Shahar is getting value every time he does this. That's 2 turns in a row now.
Den Protector is not exactly the best target for a Silk Wrap. And Negate is huge in this matchup, just like Dispel. Sam currently on a 3-turn clock. He has nothing but lands in hand. He does have a Blighted Woodland on the battlefield, but Shahar rips a Gideon.
Shahar Shenhar. And he has peeled some nice ones. Kept himself alive long enough and has found some really nice stuff late in the game.
Yeah, and with the Negate backup, it's going to be real hard for Sam to get back into this.
Yeah, it looks like Sam's decided to crack that Blighted Woodland. He'll often keep that around so that he can double trigger a retreat to Emeria. But I think he just wants to thin out his deck here because he is up against it in a big way, down to 12 already. And he's facing lethal damage next turn if he can't find something.
Oh, he found a good sideboard. Yeah.
Oh. Is it good enough here, though? Is it just going to end up chump blocking?
Well, he can block the Knight and fall to 1 life. That is technically a thing he could do.
Oh, you're right. That's true. It's interesting.
If I'm Shahar, I think I make that move. Just animate Gideon, attack with everything. That makes the Elvish Visionary lethal the following turn.
See that Shahar has paid his mana here.
He has paid his
tides.
dues, yes.
Yep. And then he just says land go. But as you said, Kenji, this has Sam Black down to 1.
That's a good start for Sam.
What did he find?
A Nissa.
Okay.
So that's a creature that's going to allow him to cycle into another card potentially, or he could just put a 4/4 on the battlefield and leave himself dead on board. But not exactly the best option. I would think.
Well, this is huge here. He needs to find something immediately.
Maybe
like a planar outburst.
Okay. Oh no, he already had played a land. I'm sorry. Never mind.
Well,
I was going to say if you could keep rotating Nissas, but that doesn't even do anything.
yeah, he just doesn't have it here. Shahar Shenhar just needs to turn his creature sideways, and that will do it. Sam Black loses to Shahar Shenhar. He says, hey, I taught you how to play this deck, kiddo. Shahar says, thanks. Improves to 6-1. They have a little chat about it afterwards. And Sam's going to have to settle for 5-2. It could be a long day for Sam. He's got a little work to do if he's going to day 2 and really make a run with his really cool Bant deck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, looks like we came in just in time here to see Ob Nixilis reignited just take out Tasigur. Yikes.
Once he gets his spark back, he can do a lot of things.
Yeah, he's got his spark too.
Yeah.
He's holding on to it.
And again, we mentioned it earlier, but Ben won the first game after it looked like Valentin Mackel took over, kind of stabilized. We'll see what Mackel can do here. Post sideboard, what do they got? Surge of Righteousness for Ben. He has an Ugin. That's very, very good, obviously. 3 Transgress the Mind. And Offense is not awful.
And we've seen this a bunch of times. This time it wasn't a 2-for-1, it's just a 1-for-1.
Crackling Doom taking out the...
killing a Planeswalker yet again. This time the other Ob Nixilis. You can see his graveyard's kind of piling up with Ob Nixilis.
More like Dub Nixilis. No? Yeah? Because his 2 in the grave... Okay. Presumably a Den Protector from Ben's side. Try Nixilis when he gets it back?
Okay,
okay.
That resolved.
All right.
F+.
I'll take any rating at this point. That Shambling Vent has done a ton of work this entire match.
Yeah, these creature lands have done great work in Standard. I think we're going to see more and more of them. People were kind of, I'll run 2 of them. And it's just, you know what? This card is just too good. Every time they've printed creature lands like that, it's great.
Yeah. Well, the best thing is you can awaken onto those lands, get the effect, and because they're counters, it's just going to buff the creature even greater. So if he has a Ruinous Path, Ruinous End. Why is the name on the top of my... Ruinous Path, yeah. If he has a Ruinous Path and he awakens onto the Shambling Vent, and it's going to be a 6/5 lifelinker. Or 6/7, sorry.
Well, this is a big one here for Valentin. He's found a dig through time.
I think it's really interesting that a lot of the Dark Jeskai decks, in fact most, are only running 2 dig through times. I understand that you only want to, you don't want to clunk up your hand or whatever, but the card is just so good. Yeah, 2 dig
he's
through
found
time.
some action here too. There's a Mantis Rider.
Okay.
Remember, Ben's only on 8, so 3 quick hits from that and it would be over. And I also see, well, he didn't take it. I don't know what other card he took. It looks like a Crackling.
Yes. Ben's tapped out, so
this
getting
is a
rid of the Den
great
Protector.
Gosh, he just keeps putting these turns together. Turns out when you resolve dig through time, these turns come together quite nicely.
Oh, that's an Exert influence in his hand, too.
Yoink, as we say in the business.
Huh.
Jace plus go.
So
Oh, man.
I wonder, did Mackel not have the mana to play Mantis Rider plus Crackling Doom? Because that would have made the Mantis Rider lethal by itself the following turn. I mean, I obviously realize Ben has the Shambling Vents, but...
Speaking of Shambling Vents, it just took down Jace.
Ooh, a second Shambling Vent. All right. I think I would have went with the Mantis and the Crackling play, but... I mean, Exert Influence can still take care of, like, Siege Rhinos or Tasigur, anything else. Like, you can still cast it for 4 different colors.
For 4, yeah.
We'll see what the game plan is here, though.
Well, I'm assuming the Mantis Rider's part of the equation here.
Let's start with a loot. I think only 3 cards are currently in his graveyard, though.
There's a Dragon Master Outcast there as well.
And Dragon Master is great versus a lot of the decks in Standard currently, especially, you know, like the green-white deck where, sure, they can Silk Wrap it or something, but they have to use a Silk Wrap on a 1-drop, which you're fine with.
You got to be happy about that.
And the nice thing is, if they don't take care of it, it's just a win condition right by itself for 1 mana.
Man, he's really having a hard time deciding if he wants to use this Jace. That's the third time he thought about using it and then didn't. And this time he does.
Twiddle, twiddle, twiddle. Looks like that was a Mystic Monastery that was discarded.
Correct.
We're going to see some insects on the battlefield soon. Bzz, bzz. Deep in the tank here. I think you might want to hold up the Crackling Doom is his only concern.
Okay, well, he's always doing this because this is half of Ben's life total here. So crunch for 5 and pass. He doesn't play the Dragon Master Outcast. He's just going to hold on to it. Ooh, that's a little... Oh, is that Ugin?
Holy moly, that is an Ugin. That seems pretty good here, Marshall.
Yeah, now the morph's a little awkward, though.
Sure.
But still, it does seem great.
I mean, taking care of a Mantis Rider and a Jace.
Yeah, especially when you're at 5 and you're facing lethal damage on the board. That was huge play there for Ben.
Yeah. And remember, Ben still has 2 Shambling Events on the battlefield, so, you know, he's still in the... Oh, my. Off the top.
And then he says, do 3 to you, attack you for 2, and we're going to get a game 3 out of these two gentlemen. That looked like a proper mid-range fight right there to me, Kenji.
You know, I had Dragonlord Silumgar in my added sideboard for the Dark Jeskai list. A lot of the standard cut and paste lists are not running Silumgar, but he's just so well positioned in the middle. Think about it. Gideon comes in, enters the battlefield at 4 counters. You know, a lot of the time they're just going to put out a token. You jam Silumgar, you -4. Gideon's taken care of. Your team gets a boost. Against like the Esper decks or even Abzan apparently. Ugin, that's a huge problem for you.
Yes.
You steal it, you either shoot or something, or you just exile everything X or less. And again, just a great card, I think, in the current standard.
It looks like the judge was maybe giving Valentin a warning for mistapping his lands. That is something you can get a warning for.
Well, that's something
at
that
the high levels here, like at a GP or at the Pro Tour.
And with the Dark Jeskai deck, it is very, very easy to fetch the wrong land. I know we talked about this before. Fetch the wrong lands or just do it in the wrong order, but you got to make sure everything works out so that you don't put yourself in a bad position.
Yeah, it's tricky business for sure. So Valentin will get a warning, but also a little time extension here maybe. This is all pretty standard issue stuff from a judge perspective as these players continue to shuffle up and get ready for that last round, or that last game, I should say.
Yeah, it looks like they're just keeping everything the same. I didn't see anybody sideboard anything in or out, so assuming that they did all their sideboarding after the first initial game.
All right, and we're back underway.
Looks like they kept their opening hands.
Pair of Sansept Citadels for Ben means that he's going to have access to whatever he needs mana-wise. If it is a little bit slow. Sunken Hollow for Mako.
Ooh, did he just draw that Jace?
Well, he's playing a Jace. I didn't see if he took it off the top of the deck there, but he'll be happy to have it.
Very nice.
Easy, buddy. Don't think you can get that.
Can he even play the Jace?
Yeah, he's got a Sunken Hollow.
Oh, I'm sorry. That looks like a Smoldering March because it's foil.
I know, they're the same. It's the Expedition. I can't tell them apart yet, but it is a Sunken Hollow. I know that. The thing is, he tried to go get an island with a Bloodstained Mire, which you can't do that. But he realized it and instead got a mountain. In the meantime, Jace pays the ultimate price, and the board is empty. Was that Mackel missing a land drop as well?
Yep.
Well, looks like Ben might give him something to point a counterspell or something at. No, not gonna.
Yeah, the Dark Jeskai list does run Dispel, but not sure if you want to use that on that card.
What about out of the board? Do they have like negate?
Generally not. Looking at his list. I don't actually have the sideboard for his list.
Huh? Really? Yeah. Let me see that too.
But generally they have like sideboard disdainful strokes.
Yeah, I see a negate in hand there for Mackel, though. He does have one.
Okay.
He didn't use it, though. Looks like he's got bigger fish to fry.
Bigger dragons to negate, potentially.
You know, negating a dragon's kind of rough.
I mean, you can.
There you go. Spirit dragons? That you can do. How about a Gideon? Yeah, get that out of here. It says Mackel, who's really having some problems here with the whole mana thing. You can see he's played his Dragon Master Outcast, but after miss a couple of land drops, it's not doing a ton. We'll have him flop that Dragon Master Outcast up top as well, just for an easier viewing experience. Oh, he's got Tassiger here as well.
Funny thing is, I think wasn't he playing his creatures in front of his lands the previous games?
Yeah, I think it's just a habit. You know, he's played the other way for a long time.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
and they'd corrected him the first time.
We have him put
Gotcha.
it back, and then but it's just when he starts playing a game, they're playing very quickly, as you can see, as the clock has become a major concern. I'm sure down in the feature match area, and so he just defaults back to his standard. Not a big deal though. As he's corrected it. The one who really wants to play quickly here is Ben, because he looks like he's way ahead in this game, and he needs to pick up this last one.
Yeah. Mackel still missing his land drops. Going to resolve a Crackling Doom, get in for one with the Dragon Master.
All right. Well, he has at least been able to fire off spells over the last 3 turns in a row. But Ben's just going to start slamming Siege Rhinos here pretty soon, and it's going to get really tough for Mackel to come back from that.
I see another Gideon, too, from Ben. Yeah. Ugh.
Land. He'd hit it. Swamp.
Swamp was probably the best land that he could hit because he has a Tasker in his hand, which means he's might be able to cast multiple spells this turn. Maybe another Crackling Doom and then Tasker delving away everything for 1 black. Or how about a Mantis Rider? Seems pretty good.
Mantis Rider's nice. Takes a big chunk out of Gideon.
Now, notably, he didn't have enough cards in his graveyard to delve away.
Ugin off the top for Ben, but he's got 6 mana total right now, so he's still a little ways to go. Oh, there's another Ruinous Path. Yeah, this could get out of hand pretty darn quickly. Ben has sort of pushed the snowball, and it's starting to roll downhill slowly. We're going to see if Mackel can find a way to stop that, because if he doesn't, it's going to be an avalanche, and this game's going to be over in short order. He finds another Mantis Rider. Not bad at all.
Definitely a good draw.
All right, so the snowball hit a bump. Well, let's see if Ben can keep the momentum on this time now. That was a very nice rip there from Mackel, as it's going to hold back both of the Knight allies, as well as take down Gideon. So really nice play there from Mackel finding that Mantis Rider. He needs to find more action here, though.
Fortunately for him, he drew a 2-drop, a really good one, Jace, which is also going to let him play Tassiger if he would like to. He has 4 cards currently in his graveyard to delve away. He was unable to do that last turn after playing Mantis Rider. Ben's at 9 health.
Yeah, this is interesting because Mackel actually drew another Mantis Rider as well. He could have cast it there, attacked with both, and said, I've got lethal. Gain some life or kill some creatures, or otherwise you're dead. But as it turns out, he knows that Den Protector is the face-down card and that plan can get interrupted pretty easily. And, in fact, his Mantis Rider does fall to a Ruinous Path here from Ben.
And I think Ben might have misplayed here instead of just attacking with the creatures and passing. Mackel passed with 4 mana open. In this deck, that almost always signifies Ojai's Command. Mackel's been, missing land drops. He has a ton of cards in his hand. He presumably would have been able to cast something else.
But Ben decided to play that Den Protector into it instead and got it countered. All right.
And now Jace comes back from the graveyard. This is going to allow Ellington to loot, flip the Jace.
Uh-oh. Yeah, this definitely feels like it's starting to spiral out of control here in the other direction. Gets rid of a Jace, transforms Jace. He is now unbound.
I think a Duress was the top deck from him.
You are
off the
correct.
loot.
You are correct. See how much he values a Duress here against Ben. Quite a bit, turns out. Ugin's going to hit the bin.
Ben on 7 mana, so could not cast it last turn, but
he was 1 untapped mana away from just windmilling Ugin. So that's right in the nick of time for Mako. He's going to plus Jace on one of the Knights.
looks like he has a Mastery of the Unseen, Tassiger.
He needs mana.
Yes. Mastery of the Unseen, not as good when you're kind of this pinched on mana on lands. Ooh, is that a dig through time that's been rotting away in his hand this whole time too? Or was that, sorry, it was a negate still.
No, the negate's in the yard. He used that on Gideon. But I can't quite see that other card. I don't believe it's a dig.
Let's just see here. All right, Tassiger comes down. And again, these players playing a little bit fast as they're running low on time. You can dig through time, but you can't always pause time, Marshall.
Feel free to rummage.
Let's see what Ben drew for the turn. Hey, how about
Green Warden of Marasa?
that Green Warden of Marasa?
All that value.
So he gets back Tassiger from his graveyard with the Green Warden and then delves 5 other cards away. So for 7 mana, just get a 5/4 and a 4/5.
Jeez. It's insane. And both of them forms of card advantage in one way or another. Green Warden. When it dies, you can exile it if you'd like. And if you do, you can get a card from your graveyard, put it back in your hand. And when it enters the battlefield, you just get to do that.
The big Eternal Witness.
Yeah.
Do you know what is in Ben's graveyard right now?
What's that?
Ruinous Path and a Nugan. The Spirit Dragon.
Right.
Are those good?
Seems like a good spot here. This has been a really sweet little game here. I'm still not sure who's going to win. I feel like Ben's ahead again, but every time one player passes the turn to the other, by the time they pass back, I feel like that person's in the lead. It's been a real tempo-based fight here, and Knuckles really having to struggle through to try to get through these mana woes.
Well, he finally hits his second blue source, which means that dig through time that's been stranded in his hand, he might finally be able to cast. A little thing that we haven't been talking about is that Dragon Master Outcast.
Tick-tock.
Yeah, 1 more land and 5/5 flyers every upkeep for Knuckle.
That's a very good point. It looked so far away. He played it back on turn 1 or turn 2, and then he missed his 4th land drop like 2 turns in a row, and it really just looked like the Outcast wasn't going to be a factor, but now he's sort of whittled his way back up to 5. And it absolutely could be.
Let's see what the play is.
Valentin seems a little indecisive here, but I think the judge is probably going to... Oh, the judge has stepped away. I was going to say, this is where the judge says, I need you to make a play. They step in because you only have so much time to finish a match, so both players have to play pretty quickly. The problem is that Valentin has found himself in a very sticky spot here. This is a perfectly appropriate place to take some extra time because this is not an easy position he's in. They're in turn 2 also.
Oh.
Do you see that dice at the bottom?
I do see it now, yes.
Yeah, so that signifies on which turn of extra turns they're actually in, and it's 2. Three.
Well, that would make sense why he's taking so long, You have the time. Once you know it's gone to turns, you might as well think out your plays.
True, but you also still have to finish in a
Sure.
or play, at a reasonable pace or whatever the definition is.
So this might be a position where somebody is just trying to survive as opposed to, win.
That is true. If Mackel picks up a draw here, he will get a match point, where if he loses, he will get 0.
All right. Abzan Charm exiles Tassiger.
Well, this is lethal here, so we're going to see a chump block. If we do, it'll be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is this just lethal? The Green Warden is shrunk down to only 3 power.
Correct.
But that's still more than enough. It's 10 damage.
And it looks like...
And it's lethal. Wow, Benoit picks up that match off of Valentin Mackel.